Before we begin, massive spoilers for Act 1 of the Penacony arc of Honkai Star Rail. We spoil everything. Starting in 3, 2, 1. Hello, internet people. I am not okay. So it's been a couple weeks since Star Rail 2.0 came out, and oh my gosh, it's amazing. We've got mass amounts of rainbow puke, enough mind-bending nightmare fuel to make Doctor Strange lose his lunch, and Bill, what in the capitalism? But aside from all of the fun in the update, the story actually packs an incredible emotional punch, mostly in the form of a brand new character, named Firefly. At least that's the name she gives us. She's a girl, at least she appears as a girl in the dreamscape, who snuck into the dream somehow after the destruction of her home planet, which she doesn't give us the name of, and after a terminal diagnosis, which is why the dream world is so attractive to her. We're warned by other characters that she's dangerous, but we don't know why, and honestly, besides knowing that she's searching for something called the Watchmaker's legacy, we haven't been given any information about her at all. At least, not on a surface level. But I believe that if you look closer at the details and interactions that happen around her, it shows us that not only is she alive, and no, that is not the denial talking, but also she's been a part of our story the entire time. Be sure to watch to the end, strap in, and let's uncover the mystery of Firefly and how it links to the heart of Penacony itself. Before we go any further, I'd like to remind you guys, if you enjoy this video, please like and consider subscribing, or wait until the end of the video to make your decision if you want. Don't worry, I'll remind you. Also, everything in this video is just a theory. We won't know any of these answers for sure until the next update, and maybe not even then. So if you have anything to add or you disagree, let me know down in the comments and we can talk about it. Now, I'm gonna assume that if you're watching this, you already know how this story played out. You experienced firsthand Firefly's little fingers playing your heartstrings like a melodious acoustic guitar. You felt extremely guilty for spending all her pocket money. You shed a single manly tear while listening to her favorite song. You took a selfie with her, then took a screenshot of that selfie. Everyone did this. Fast forward a couple hours, you were left in a state of shock when she speedran death, and then you speedran the grief process, all except for that lovely river in Egypt, which you are still clinging to.
It's a dream! It's a dream! It's a dream!
There's no way they killed her, right?
That's not real! That's not real! It's clickbait. It's clickbait, chat. It's clickbait.
That wasn't real. Which, I mean, it isn't, but the devs spent so much time trying to convince us it was real. I mean, seriously, the shock value, her apology, Acheron's farewell, everything that happened afterward. Honestly, you almost can't help but wonder if you're gaslighting yourself. They really want us to believe she's gone. But let's really quickly just go over the reasons why she's not, alright? 1. All of this happened in the dreamscape, not the real world. Sure, there are movies and stories where dying in a dream means dying in real life, or falling into limbo, or whatever, but we haven't been given any evidence that it's how Penacony works. In fact, if you go back to our very first experience in the dreamscape, one of the first things we were shown about the dream world is what happens if you die. Acheron heckin' killed us in the dream, and we just woke up. 2. After Firefly's death, Acheron performs a sort of ritual, kind of.
May death be the end of your boundless dream, guiding you back to the waking world.
She tells Firefly's lingering memoria to go back to the waking world, not what lies beyond or whatever word she'd used to describe the afterlife. 3. Yes, we see Robin having died similarly, and Sunday says that Robin is dead. But let me remind you once again that this all happens in the dreamscape. Spabin, that's what I'm calling them. That's their name. I will not accept anything else. Asks if there have been more deaths, and Sunday confirms, but it's highly possible that they're both just referring to deaths happening within the dreamscape itself, not in the real world. As for in real life Robin, it's clear that something bad happened to her, but it may not be that she died. It could just be that she was kidnapped, something that we actually do see hinted at early in the arc.
The Charmony Festival stage belongs only to you, little sister.
How do you intend to pull them off the stage?
These things may not be solid proof of Firefly being alive, but when all of this is taken into consideration, her death is far from certain. And aside from all that, this is just not how you do a death scene as far as story structure goes. It breaks so many rules and not in the fun subversion way. To spend literal hours of gameplay getting us to love this girl is a good play if you're going to kill them off and want to rip out our hearts. But what they do is get us attached to her, then remove her from the equation. Then they do not build up enough tension, and then they go from 0 to 60 in the span of literally 10 seconds. Too much happens too fast. It's too out of place. They even acknowledge it in the game itself. This scene is jarring and shocking to the detriment of the story rather than its benefit, and this isn't the kind of mistake Hoyoverse usually makes. Unless it wasn't a mistake. Let's think about this along those same lines. How does Hoyoverse handle a mystery story? In most examples of mystery plotlines I've seen in Genshin and Honkai Star Rail, the answer to the big question is hidden in plain sight. Think about it. What happened to Rex Lapis? Well, he's helping us arrange his own funeral. Who is behind all the problems on the Xianzhou? She's been acting as our guide since we got here. They both have, actually. Or wait, all three? Have? I'm still fuzzy on that. But looking back, Hoyo really isn't that subtle, like, ever. They even tell us this in the first 10 minutes of the game.
The simplest method is the hardest to spot. Isn't that our motto?
The answers which are hardest to spot are usually hidden in plain sight. We expect things to be hidden. We want them to be hidden, so we gloss over anything obvious. And then it's only looking back that we say, why didn't I see this all along? I believe this scene feels so jarringly out of place because we've overlooked something that was meant to make it all make sense in the context. And I believe that something is the key to Firefly's identity outside the dreamscape and why she's so important inside it. First, let's examine the context of the scene a little closer. It takes place in the middle of our second encounter with the primal dreamscape, but you'll remember this quest was no ordinary one. We'd been sent on this errand by the Stellaron hunters, specifically by Silver Wolf. Silver Wolf gave us a code by which we were able to enter the primal dreamscape Reverie Hotel, something we can't do if we just go through the dreamscape golden hour. It's all blocked off. The only way we got into it the first time is because of Sparkle. So how did Firefly get back in? There are other people in this dream too, Acheron and the members of the family. Acheron is an emanator, so I wouldn't be surprised if she had a way to just bypass the barriers. And of course, the family would have their own ways in because they're in control of the dreamscape, kinda, but not Firefly. You could argue that as a member of the Iris family, she'd be able to use one of the family's back doors, but I honestly doubt it. Even if she told us the truth and actually is a member of the family, I don't think she's high-ranking enough to have access to such monumental secrets as Penacony's dark side, simply due to the fact that multiple members of the family have referred to her as a stowaway. She doesn't actually belong here. Speaking of that though, how does someone even stow away into a dream? And that's where our second possibility comes in, because there is someone in the story already who has demonstrated an ability to access the Penacony dreamscape as they wish, and that person is Silverwolf. Turns out how Firefly got in isn't much of a mystery at all. Silverwolf gave her the code, just like she did for us. In fact, the more I look at it, I believe it's thanks to Silverwolf that Firefly was able to get into the golden hour at all. But why? If Silverwolf snuck Firefly in, it was for a reason. I don't think it was out of the goodness of her little bubblegum-loving heart. And even Firefly told us she had an agenda of her own. She even told us what it was.
I am, in fact, after the Watchmaker's legacy.
She's after the Watchmaker's legacy. And why is that? Because the Watchmaker's legacy is a Stellaron. Think about it. Stellarons cause different kinds of disasters wherever they go, but those disasters always seem to be themed around one of the aeonic paths the game is centered around. On Belobog, we saw a planet that served the path of preservation, and so the Stellaron used ice, which is associated with preservation, to destroy it. On the Xianzhou Lafu, we saw a people who were sworn to protect the Ambrosial Arbor, a tree of abundance, but the Stellaron here didn't destroy, it actually caused the arbor to start growing again, using the work of abundance against it. Similarly, I believe there is a Stellaron on Penacony, which the Watchmaker was able to partially seal, but also used to power a magnificent dreamscape. However, over time, the Stellaron has become unstable again, and is now using Penacony's own power to make dreams real to destroy it by unleashing nightmares. No wonder everyone wants to find it so badly. This also explains why we are able to see some of the Memoria spirits while others can't. If the Memoria are powered by a Stellaron, then it makes sense that we, having a Stellaron inside us, would have an altered sensitivity to other things and beings who also have a connection to the Stellaron. We already saw this happen on Belobog too, when we intercepted Cocolia's conversations with the Stellaron in our dreams. But wait, then why can Misha see them too? Ah, never mind. That's another video. Back on topic. So assuming we're correct up to this point, here's where we stand. Firefly was hacked into Penacony by the Stellaron hunters to seek out the Watchmaker's legacy. She decided to do so by befriending us, and then she showed us around the city to try and see how we reacted to what was around us, to get a sense of where the Stellaron might be. Unfortunately for her, we got sidetracked by Scampo. Yes, that's what I'm calling him. But as things progressed, Firefly decided to come clean, at least partially, and tell us some of what was going on. But then the plan went to balls, and the two of us ended up in the Primal Dreamscape together, and, well... We do have at least one thing that seems to confirm this. Black Swan does believe that Firefly is linked to the Stellaron hunters, and while I don't trust her not to lie, I do trust her perception. But here's the thing. All of this only links back to what she was doing on Penacony. Now I want to dive into who she is, because it's not who she says she is. Besides her being a stowaway and being after the Watchmaker's legacy, she gives us very little information about herself. She tells us that 1, her home planet was destroyed a long time ago, either by the Swarm or the Legion, and 2, she has a condition known as entropy loss syndrome, which she describes as the slow, existential deterioration of a person's speech and motor skills, to the point where they can't tell dreams from reality anymore. Surprisingly little information, but we can learn a little more just from how she interacts with people. For example, when we're being followed by Scampo in the Golden Hour, Firefly is able to tell he's a fighter simply by his gait and bearing, and even narrows down the kind of weapons he uses based on the shape of his hands. This would suggest that she is some kind of experienced fighter, and this is further confirmed when we enter the Primal Dreamscape with her and she kills one of the little 20-sided die dudes off screen on her own. So we can add some kind of fighter to the list as well. Now let's look at this for a second. She's a fighter, she can't tell dreams from reality, and her home planet was destroyed by the Swarm or the Legion. Is there anyone else in Star Rail who also fits these criteria? Internet people? The answer is yes. Let's talk about Sam, the Stellaron hunter. Sam is the hunter we've interacted the least with up to this point, besides Elio himself. The only references we've even seen to him are in Myriad Celestia Scene 47, where he and Kafka facilitate the Japella Rebellion, and in a random text from Silverwolf using Blade's phone. Besides that, we know only what we were told in the dialogue of this quest, which is that Sam is a member of the Iron Cavalry from the planet Glamoth. Now, if the name Glamoth sounds familiar, it should, at least to anyone who grinds Simulated Universe. It's the name of a set of planar ornaments obtainable in the final world. And when we look at the description of the planar ornaments, they give us some very interesting details. Glamoth was a planet with a majority human population. When the Swarm disaster arrived, they made an army of genetically modified humans in iron suits called mechas to fend it off. So that already checks 2 of our 4 boxes. But entropy loss syndrome surely doesn't have a Glamoth equivalent, does it? Internet people, prepare to be amazed. In order to motivate these genetically modified humans to fight against the Swarm, they were given telepathically implanted dreams of being defenders of Glamoth's grand empire, an empire which never actually existed. They literally couldn't tell dreams from reality, which matches our description of entropy loss syndrome to a T. Box number 3, check. Sam is from a planet which was destroyed by the Swarm, was literally born to be a warrior, and can't tell dreams from reality, just like Firefly. But wait, this feels ridiculous still. You're telling me this little girl, this sweet soul who likes to watch shooting stars and seems to just want to live a normal life, is the machine who kills without hesitation, who incinerated creatures alive? You're right, it is still possible that these are only common experiences that Firefly and Sam share. Even though I can't think of another character that matches up quite as well, it's still true that a lot of planets were affected by the Swarm. Nearly every person in this game is a fighter, and hey, I'm sure in this vast universe that there are a lot of different conditions having to do with dreams. So, is there anything in this game that connects Firefly and Sam directly? In the White Knight music video that was released before the update, tucked in between the flashy billboards, hover cars, and Soulglad, we see surprisingly few shots of Firefly. Adventurin, oh my gosh. Aventurin is featured more prominently, and Sam more than them both. Basically what we get of Firefly is just this and this. And what are we going to do with that? Wait, that looks a little bit like... coincidence. And wait, the sparklers, could that be a reference to... Internet people, while it's not obvious at first, once you start looking for it, it doesn't stop. Firefly wears this pretty teal color, and it's almost the perfect match for the color that we see glowing from the chinks in Sam's armor. We're even told directly what's going on by Black Swan.
It eludes me, but there is a known semblance in the memory zone, mirroring the essence she radiates.
She and Sam share the same essence, and what she says about her wish.
I saw scorched earth and a new sapling emerging from it. It bloomed against the morning sun and whispered to me, "Why do people choose to sleep? I think they're afraid to awaken from the dream."
When we put it together like this, all the pieces, which we didn't even think of as pieces, start to fit together. And one last piece of evidence, Sam has wings. We only see them briefly, but we do get a good look at them, and they match Firefly's colors and design perfectly. Even at our first meeting, I thought I was reading too much into this. But do you see how her face lights up? This isn't the face of someone who's just in trouble and sees someone who might be able to help passing by. This is a smile of someone who knows us, someone who's missed us. And with this context, Firefly's story takes on an entirely new meaning. This isn't an abrupt scene anymore. We come back into the dreamscape to look for Sam, and we find him. But we can't fight Sam until he decides to let the persona of Firefly go. This scene needed to happen, so this scene could happen. This explains why Sam is featured so prominently in all the marketing. Despite having barely any screen time, it's because the story in Penacony is about him. Sam came here with the hunters looking for the watchmaker's Stellaron, and he was going to use our Stellaron senses to do it. He couldn't go into the dream in his mecha form because the bloodhounds were looking for it. So instead, he changed into the form of a young girl, someone pretty and easily befriendable. The reason it was him and not Kafka or Silver Wolf is because we've proven in our text conversations that we are able to recognize them even if they're masquerading as another person. And Blade is just Blade. But Sam, on the other hand, we've proven we don't recognize or remember at all. What am I talking about, you may ask? This series of anonymous texts sent just a few days before the Penacony update. In the wiki, this is listed under Kafka's messages because it is sent by Anonymous, the very same way Kafka's messages usually are. But unlike Kafka, this person doesn't aggressively flirt with us, instead talking with us about what kinds of stories we enjoy. The exchange ends off by the person saying they didn't expect to be alone in this movie theater, which is Stellaron jargon for following Elio's script, and they tell us the show is about to begin, referring to the next act of the story finally happening. Editing Emma here, I also realized that all of Kafka's previous conversations with us are saved in a completely different folder in our text messages. I firmly believe that this was Sam talking to us, and it was because we didn't recognize him that he was the one sent into Penacony to befriend us. Whatever friendship he and the Trailblazer may have had before we became one of the Nameless, we seem to have been close. Firefly slotted herself into a space in our lives so fast because it was a space that she, or he, had occupied before. And yes, they may have used us for their own gain, but there's no question in my mind that this is something more than a work relationship. We were friends, and I hope, when the dust finally clears, that we still can be. Only time will tell. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please hit like and subscribe. I am planning one about the identity of the watchmaker, which I have so many thoughts about. Also, I stream on Twitch 3 times a week. Maybe I'm live now. If you want other ways to get involved in the community, check out the other links down in the description. Until the next video, guys, stay safe, stay kind.